Rising high in low times. We are in South Korea for a special week of coverage. What is driving South Korea's recovery from the global economic meltdown? Glitz, glamour, and gadgets. See how people are innovating their way to financial success. The drumbeats toward recovery.
Eye on South Korea, building a recovery. All this week, only on CNN, in association with Asiana Airlines.
Go beyond borders.
This is CNN.
Iran's president vows retaliation after a brazen attack on the country's military. Britain's Jenson Button clinches the Formula One title. We'll have all the highlights from the race.
And I'm Christy Lustout in South Korea. From green projects to gadgets, they're building a recovery. All this week, we've got our eye on South Korea.
Hello, everyone. I'm Asiye Namdar at CNN Center. Welcome to World Report, your first look at today's news, weather, and sports. From construction and cars to fashion and food, we have our eye on South Korea, and today we'll take you to the futuristic city of Songdo. It's the most wired city on earth, but Seoul isn't counting solely on technology. How South Korea's road to recovery will be paved in green. And it's been 2 months since Afghans risked their lives to go to the polls, so when will the country's election be decided finally? Well, this week we are looking at South Korea and the country's economic recovery. Here are some facts you might not know about this dynamic economy. South Korea is the 13th largest economy in the world and the 4th largest in Asia, with a GDP of more than $1.2 trillion last year. In fact, last year the country exported $433 billion in cars, machinery, and electronics, including semiconductors, cell phones, and computers, with its major markets being China, the U.S., and Japan. Just last week, the European Union and South Korea signed a new trade deal that could boost trade between the two by $28 billion. The U.S. and South Korea signed a free trade agreement more than 2 years ago, but U.S. lawmakers have yet to approve the deal. According to Forbes, there are 5 billionaires in South Korea. The richest is former Samsung chairman Lee Kong-gi. Our Christy Lustout is in Songdo, South Korea, with more on this. Hi, Christy.
Hey there, I am indeed in Songdo City, just a couple hours outside Seoul, the Korean capital. And behind me, just a couple of years ago, there was nothing here. It was quite literally an expanse of mud. But as you can plainly see, this is the beginning of a massive business hub rising. Welcome to Songdo City. And it's a powerful symbol of how South Korea is growing despite the ongoing global economic crisis. Now, this place will be a free trade zone. South Korea hopes it will become a major international business hub. It's a 1,500-acre city. There's about 100 buildings that dot the place, and it'll eventually house some 75,000 people. The price tag? $35 billion. It's a lot of money, and it's believed to be one of the largest private real estate ventures in history in the world. Now, it's a joint venture between the South Korean conglomerate POSCO and the American real estate company Gale International. And I recently spoke to the chief marketing officer of Gale, Chris Saucer, to find out how this place came to be.
It's a reclaim project, so it's reclaimed from the ocean. They had to move 500 million tons of sand to create what we're looking at here today.
500 million tons?
500 million tons. And it took 3 million man-hours to do the reclamation project. So when Gale got involved in 2001, when we first came here, it was mostly underwater. So all of this has happened in the last 4 or 5 years. And I might point out that the canal is seawater. We didn't use fresh water, and that was to save also in the water supply. We have 2 underground tanks that collects water during the rainy season, and then during the dry season, we're able to reuse that water, gray water, for landscaping purposes, street cleaning and whatnot.
How much of Songdo City is Central Park?
It's about 100 acres of the 1,500 acres we're developing. It's devoted for the public use.
You know, you don't see a lot of that in Asia, to be honest.
No, you don't.
It's usually all about maximizing the buildable space. So why set aside so much green space?
We wanted to create a city that was very livable, one of the most livable cities in the world. And to do that, we knew that we needed to have quality of life for the people that worked here and the people that resided here.
How much money is being poured into Songdo?
Well, right now, the whole project construction costs will be about $35 billion, of which under construction today is about $10 billion US dollars.
10 billion. And we're talking about so much money, and also during the economic crisis. What did the crisis, what impact did it have on this project?
Through foresight or timing, we were able to secure our long-term financing, a $2.5 billion loan over a year ago. So from a financing standpoint, we're set. The quality of life and the product that we're building has been able to attract multinational companies, investors, as well as the residents to Incheon. Right now, these are all residential units going back to First World. All along, everything that you see here is all residential. What you're trying to do, and from a green city environmentally, employees are going to work in buildings that are safe and eco-friendly, whether it's the air conditioning, the variable volume that goes through how often air is circulated, so you're getting more fresh air in, the lighting is better, all sorts of technology is being used.
Now, everything about this place here in Songdo City has been carefully planned. They even planned for surprises. They left one area on purpose unzoned so anything could take place there to let, quote, organic growth take root. They call it the souk, which is, of course, named after a Middle Eastern open-air market. Now, just how successful are planned cities? Well, it turns out a number of the major world capitals started as planned cities. For example, Washington, D.C., the capital of the United States. It was planned by the French architect Pierre L'Enfant back in 1791. He created a Baroque layout with wide avenues and big ceremonial spaces that mostly exist to this day. Now, fast forward 100 years later, it was two American architects who won a competition to design the capital of Australia. That's right, Canberra. It was created in 1913, and its design was inspired by the Garden City movement, which calls for the use of a lot of green spaces. And lastly, Brasilia became the capital of Brazil in 1960, much further inland than coastal cities like Rio de Janeiro or Sao Paulo. The intention there is so that the capital city would be much closer to the rest of the country. It was created by Oscar Niemeyer, and the major plan section of Brasilia, when looked down from above, it resembles a cross. Now, up next here on World Report, we're still keeping our eye on South Korea, and we'll be looking at another bold, ambitious plan in this country, one that has two benefits. Number one, boost the economy. Number two, save the environment. That story up next.